At night, a missile was descending over Russia. Below it was not a trench, not an airfield, and not a front-line position that artillery could reach every day. Below it was an industrial factory, deep inside Russia, roughly 900 kilometers from the Ukrainian front. In the old logic of war, that distance was protection. The front line, burn. The rear kept producing, but that night, the rear was written into the target list. What mattered inside that factory was not the concrete, the roof, or the walls. It was the places where parts became weapons, drone airframes, engine components, guidance modules, and electronic control systems. They do not look as dramatic as a tank on fire. They do not fire shells or roll into a trench. But they decide whether the next wave of drones can take off, whether the next missiles can be assembled, and whether the next long-range strike can happen at all. So, this factory was not just making equipment, it was helping the war breathe. Russia believed this place was far enough away, far beyond ordinary artillery, far beyond many short-range drones, far enough that it no longer looked like a battlefield. It looked like the industrial background of the war. That was the illusion. The front could be dangerous, the border could be dangerous, air bases could be watched, but factories deep inside the country were supposed to keep working, with machines turning, parts moving, and rail lines carrying the output back toward the front. As long as that chain survived, the war could keep replacing what it lost. But modern war is no longer aimed only at soldiers, tanks, or airfields. It is aimed at the system that keeps producing them. And that is what made the Flamingo missile dangerous. Not simply that it could fly far, but that it made far matter less. To reach this factory, Ukraine first had to solve the problem of distance. 900 kilometers is not a normal strike. A missile crossing that space has to move through Russian depth. It can be detected by radar. It can meet air defenses. It can be affected by electronic warfare. It can drift just enough to hit the wrong part of the target. And that is the key point. The question was not just whether the missile could explode. The question was whether it could explode in the right place. If it hit a parking lot, Russia could clear it. If it hit an outer wall, Russia could repair it. If it hit an empty warehouse, the footage might look dramatic, but the effect would be limited. The valuable target was inside, the assembly space, the electronics area, the engine components, and the guidance-related equipment. From the outside, those areas are invisible. On a satellite image, they may look like just another section of a factory roof, but inside the war machine they are nerves. Hit the wall and you damage a building. Hit the right node and you interrupt a chain. So, the first step in a strike like this is not the launch. It is choosing what is worth hitting. This factory mattered because it was connected to the front. A circuit board can become part of a drone. An engine component can move a warhead across the sky. A guidance module can decide whether the next strike hits its target. That is the hidden part of modern war. The fire on the front line begins on the production floor. Then the missile entered its final phase. In the night sky, it was no longer a line on a map. It was a bright point coming down. The factory below was still lit. From the ground, it may have looked like any other industrial site. But inside the strike chain, it was no longer just a building. It was a coordinate, a node, a place that had to be cut. The closer the missile came, the less room there was for error. Detected too early, and the defense window could open. A few dozen meters off, and it might only blast a crater, the wrong section of the building. And the entire operation could become an expensive firework. The final meters decided whether this was just an explosion or a consequence. The missile began to dive. It was not skimming past the building or passing sideways over the roof. It came down from the night sky toward the heart of the facility. At that moment, 900 kilometers no longer mattered. All the routing, intelligence, targeting, and penetration collapsed into one point. Not the whole factory, the core, the place where production could be interrupted. Then came the impact. Fire erupted from inside the building. Glass shattered, the roof lifted. Orange flame tore through the dark. But the important part was not how large the fire looked. It was where the fire came from. If it came from the core of the target, the loss was no longer just structural damage. It was stopped machinery, interrupted work, and production that had to be inspected, repaired, moved, or defended. A single missile did not need to destroy Russia's entire military industry. It only needed to prove that these rear-area factories no longer had immunity. That is the strategic meaning of the strike. For years, Russia could push important nodes deeper into the map. The farther back they were, the safer they felt. The deeper they sat, the more stable they seemed. But when a factory 900 kilometers away can be hit, the problem changes. Russia cannot defend only the front. It has to defend the rear. Factories, refineries, rail junctions, ports, power infrastructure, and every place that helps the war keep moving. And air defense is not unlimited. Radar is not unlimited. Interceptors are not unlimited. Personnel, maintenance, deployment, and repair capacity are not unlimited. Every rear target that must be protected pulls resources from somewhere else. Every production line that must be dispersed becomes less efficient. Every deep strike forces Russia to ask the same question again. Where is safe now? That is the meaning of Flamingo. It is not one missile ending a war. It is one missile changing the calculation. On old maps, the line between the front and the rear was clear. One side was battle, the other side was production. But drones, satellites, long-range missiles, and domestic weapon production are blurring that line. Distance used to be armor. Depth used to be a shield. The rear used to mean stability. Now, Russia faces a colder reality. If a place builds what the war needs, if it connects to the front, if it helps the next drones fly, then it is not just a factory, it is a target. And when 900 kilometers is no longer far enough, the idea of a safe zone begins to die. In the next video, we move from factories to roads. Russia believed the supply route into Crimea was just another rear area road. Then, Ukrainian drones turned it into a highway of death. If you want to see how drones can do more than destroy a vehicle, and instead slowly choke an entire supply line, watch the next video on screen.